Now, Arathusa is really interested in telling the different lionesses apart and has been doing an awesome job of screenshotting the different lionesses. Hello, boy. And says that I seem to be able to tell them apart easily, and was wondering if they have any identifying features. It's taken me a considerable period of time and a lot of time spent with them. I identify the individual Nkuhumas far easier than I do the Birmingham boys, for example. Particularly for me, the difference between Blondie and number 2 often confuses me. Although the Birmingham boys are getting nice scars, that will be very easy to identify them with. So the lionesses, yes, there are identifying features, and that you can add to your screenshot list. The oldest one has a broken canine tooth. She's the mother of the middle set of cubs. Then there's Amber Eyes, who's Amber Eyes. But if you don't happen to get a glimpse of Amber Eyes' eyes, then she has a large scar on her right shoulder. That makes her quite easy to identify, although that, of course, will disappear as it starts to heal up. So you've got to be careful with scars. The best way to identify them, or the most accurate way, if I'm honest, is to look at either breaks in the teeth, nicks in the ear, or, most importantly, the whisker spot patterns, since that is as unique as a fingerprint to each and every individual lioness or lion. And it's something, actually, that's something I meant to do. When we go back to the cubs later, we're going to have a screenshot list. We're going to have to try and start collecting the individual cubs' spot patterns to help us keep track as they grow older and less identifiable. Then the youngest lioness, she's got that perfect little pattern of dots on her nose, although, as I said, that's going to change. There you go, there's screenshot. VM's giving you plenty of screenshot options there for the young lioness. And she just looks younger. She's still a little bit spotty. That's just how I tell her apart. And then the twins, I think they're twins, I think they're both sisters, are the mothers of the oldest set and the youngest set of cubs, respectively. They're the remaining... Oh, hello. Oh, could you please go the other way? Oh, really, guys? Really? Really? Well, at least the back of our vehicle is censoring the most important part. Still a little bit inexperienced. I don't always get this whole process right, and she doesn't make it easier because she's also inexperienced. So he still hasn't managed yet. We'll know as soon as he grabs. There we go. All in all, not the most enthusiastic I've ever seen lions. Which she doesn't look terribly impressed, I have to say. Most of the time females roll over onto their backs, often swatting their partner. She could not be less bothered. Well, I'm glad you two chose to do that right there, thank you. And now they're growling at each other. The joys of live wildlife filming. Hey, VM. Thanks, guys. Still growling at each other. Right, now I can reposition. I couldn't while they were in the act without actually provoking him. Thanks, buddies. So back to the question about identifying the individual lionesses. The twins, as I said, the mother of the oldest and the youngest set of cubs, they are more difficult to tell apart, and the best way you can do that is by screenshotting them, although at this point, I have to be honest, I cannot remember which one's which. I honestly don't remember which one. There's Twin Spot and then there's Twin Spot Mark II. They both, I think they're twins, I think they both come from the same litter. And I can't remember which one is the mother of the oldest and which one is the mother of the youngest, to be completely honest with you. I have no idea. I'd have to go back to the screenshot. Oh, Twin Spot apparently is the mother of the oldest. So it's just time spent with the lions. The Nkuhumas I find easy, the Birmingham boys are getting to be easier. And we did go through quite a long period of time where we didn't see them. And I can't learn from, personally I can't learn from looking at pictures. I have to spend time with the individual lions so that I get an idea of their characters, and therefore make it easier. It makes it easier for me to recognize them. He's always, of course, going to be very, very identifiable. That scar is going to stay there a long time. And it's possible with that secondary infection, it's actually going to rot away a little bit of his face. He might have a depression between his eye and his nose when it does heal up. Looks quite unpleasant at the moment, but it's going to look pretty cool. Male lions with scars always look as though they have a real story to tell, which of course they do. Oh, the joys of being a dominant male lion, hey, buddy? Shame, you can see it's hurting him, you can see the way his eyes are. Ouch. Ouch. Now, Eileen in Texas, a good question. What would have caused the initial abscess? Probably, most likely, a scrap with either one of the lionesses or one of the other males, perhaps over one of the lionesses, and maybe even just the tiniest nick or scratch. Now, I'm not sure what came first, the infection or the maggots. I think the infection actually came first, because initially he just had a tiny wound with a massive swelling, and then he burst it open. So I think it was an abscess. It just kind of like those of you who have domestic cats, when they go off and they fight and they come back with hard abscesses that then burst. That's basically what happened to him. Unfortunately, no vet treatments for him, so he's got to just heal as he would naturally. Luckily, these animals are equipped with serious immune systems. And I actually, after all the research we did about maggot infestations and so on, I actually think, to be honest, after all that, having talked about myiasis, and the infections of living tissue with maggots, I actually think they did him good. I really do. After all our discussion about it and the fact that they could make it worse, I actually think they helped. There we go. That's new, I think. Is it? It's not bleeding, so it's not fresh. Shame, buddy. You've been beaten up a bit. And look at these loving stares being shared between the two of them. Don't they look impressed with each other? I'm sure you're wondering where the other three Birmingham boys are. Perhaps Tayla might have some answers in that regard.
We have got another Birmingham. As you can see, he's a very pretty male, and this is the male we had the other morning. He was roaring so nicely for us. So I think this is Birmingham number 2, if I'm not mistaken. But if I am mistaken, you're welcome to correct me and let me know. I'm still learning all these Birmingham boys. And finally, it wasn't on our traverse. He was on the other side now. And so I'm glad he's decided to come back south. Good boy. Very good. Well-trained lion, this one is. Now we're going to follow him. And he's stunning. He doesn't seem to have the genetics like the other Birminghams have. He's definitely the looker out of the boys. He's marking his territory. He did do one little soft contact call too, but now he's stopped. But let's park in the distance and let him watch him come to us. Now remember, everybody, we're going to take lots of screenshots here because he's beautiful. Isn't this? So my favorite Birmingham is the one that's mating. But this is definitely by far the prettiest Birmingham. You can't really compare the two. Look at that pose, everybody. That is quite special. Oh, you're going to rest for us? Oh my goodness! I see Jamie, everybody. Thank you, Louise. Louise in Final Control said that if I look over my shoulder, I'll see Jamie. Hi, Jamie. I'm waving to Jamie, but she's not waving. Oh, she's waving back. There they are. So this is going to be quite interesting to see now when this other Birmingham decides to come around. And I wonder what his feeling is going to be towards our friend who's got the big hole in his face. Because, like I said, this female's an estrus, and now I wonder if they're going to compete for her. So this is going to be quite interesting. Maybe this is why he's also being a little bit reluctant to go streaming over. Maybe he's just planning his next move. Oh, we're going to see so much action. This is going to be wonderful. Now, that young female lioness is actually looking over in our direction. Now, if I were her, and I'd seen this gorgeous-looking man coming towards me, well, I don't know, I might swap, because unfortunately our friend over there is not the most attractive-looking lion. But they've got good genetics, so they're still young boys. You can see she's just through the trees there. Now, possibly that Birmingham boy number 2 heard the commotion, or the mating that's been going on, and that's why he's made his way over here. But isn't he... He is just divine. I can't think of any more words to try and describe how beautiful this lion is. He is almost perfect. Very few scars in his face, just a little one, on a few on his nose. But a beautiful mane, and you can see his mane is even starting to darken quite nicely as it goes down towards his chest. He's beautiful. And they are impala in the distance alarm calling, but he doesn't seem too bothered by them. Now, as soon as I mentioned about him not having very many scars, Team Mine wants to know, does this mean he has done less fighting? Now, I'm not 100% sure. It's either that or he's just been very good at fighting and avoided his face. But possibly. You know, there's always, especially if they're fighting in a group, so if these Birminghams all go in at once and have a go at, say, the dominant males that were in this area prior to their arrival, one of them would have taken a big beating. It would have been the one who dove in head first, and possibly he came running in at the back. Or, like I said, maybe he's just very good, and he has avoided being swiped in the face. He's got a few scars on him. They're there. They're definitely there. But not as many as the rest. But he's just a better looking lion anyway. I mean, those other Birminghams, they're very attractive boys. They're going to be really nice in the next 2 years or so once they mature fully. But their faces seem to always be quite swollen, where this male lion's face, I think, is a lot more textured, if that makes any sense. He's sort of got more prominent ridges, where the others just look like they've been stung by bees, and they've got very swollen noses. So he is a lovely lion. Now, here's your opportunity, everybody, to try and take... Ooh, it sounds like those other lions perhaps just mated. I'm hearing a bit of growling. Now, I wonder if our friend, the Birmingham, number 2... He doesn't seem too interested yet. I thought all those noises were going to coax him to go over. But perhaps not just yet. But I'm certain that that's the way he's heading. And then possibly from there, maybe he'll even go towards that buffalo kill as well and have a feed on that. Remember, we were saying that all these vultures are going to attract that buffalo and also all that smell. So they're going to be coming in shortly if any of the other Birminghams come around. Right, let's just go down the way to Jamie and see what I can hear.
Oh, our amorous couple have been at it again. That's, of course, what Tayla could hear from where she is. So, this is an interesting turn of events. I don't think there's going to be major conflict, but at one point the lioness did seem quite keen to ditch her current suitor and perhaps make her way across to where Tayla is, not too far away. As you can imagine, that was not met with much enthusiasm from our courting Birmingham boy. He blocked her with his body. Every time she tried to make her way there, he blocked her and blocked her and blocked her until she eventually reluctantly just lay down and let him mate. And then nearly headbutted him on the way back up. It was thoroughly entertaining. Oh, she is looking, I must say, she does look across with apparent interest. Hello, boy. What do you think, girl? Of course, a female cat female big cat will mate with as many males as she can when she's in estrus, and that includes different male lions. And often what happens especially with lions when they're in estrus, is that the males actually tire of it before the females do. So you might encounter one male mating with a female on one day, and then come back 2 days later only to find that his place has been taken by a different male. Now that does often occur. And basically it's a way of her ensuring that her cubs are safe when they are born, trying to trick each and every boy in the area into thinking that they are his, or have them invested in it. And there's some interesting research being done now into male big cats fathering, or different males fathering cubs from the same litter, if that makes any sense, because the females do mate with multiple partners. It would be interesting. I'm really looking forward to the results that DNA testing is going to yield into whether or not females actually do have cubs from different dads. So perhaps our little bumbling cubs are fathered by a couple of the different Birmingham boys. Certainly they're all invested in them now. They are the dominant males of this area, and these are their cubs. Oh, it's another vehicle. Wondered what the rumbling was. And Deborah, our armchair traveller, wanted to know what the time is between the lioness's estrus cycles if she doesn't fall pregnant. What would we say, about once every month or so, once every 6 weeks we see them mating? Sounds about right, about once a month. The lioness, if she's not mating, will come into estrus. Maybe once a month is a bit often, maybe about once every 2 months. Oh, look at that. That provides quite a deceptive shot, actually. Almost looks like they like each other, which is, of course, not necessarily the case. Deborah, I think it's about once every 6 weeks or so, just from what we've observed. It will differ from lioness to lioness, naturally. I mean, look at Shadow. I know she's a leopard, but look at Shadow. She seems to roll from one estrus cycle to the next, and she never gives poor Tingana a break, to the point that he actually actively runs away from her. Although, admittedly, that was also because he'd just been chased by a lion. The Tingana, the dominant male leopard, has had to mate with Shadow pretty much solidly from when she first went into estrus a couple of months ago. So it does depend upon the individual as well, just as it would with people. There's individual differences. And of course, as you know, lionesses do try and synchronize their estrus cycles to some degree, which we've seen with our little set of 8 cubs, all roughly the same age. Okay, there's a week or 2 difference between, and the oldest cubs are quite a gap from the youngest cubs. But they do try and synchronize their estrus cycles, which makes total sense, which is why we often see Amber Eyes and the young female off at the same time, mating. Although my suspicion is that because we haven't seen Amber Eyes mating in a while, my suspicion is we might have new little babies on the way in the next 2 months. But let's wait and see. That is just supposition. I don't know that for certain just yet. And then the young lioness will have cubs, and then all 5 Nkuhumas will have had babies this year. And just think what a force to be reckoned with the Nkuhumas will be in the future. In 2 years' time, can you just imagine? They've at least supplemented their numbers with 5 females. Maybe in 2 years' time, the 3 males will have dispersed. Just imagine the 10 lionesses walking down the road together. It's going to be like old times. The strength of the Nkuhuma pride returns. Well done, Birmingham boys. Now, as you know, the repeated mating between the big cats is because the female actually doesn't ovulate straight away. She has to have her ovulation induced by that whole process. Justin, you wanted to know if the male if a female mates with different males, will the first male have a greater chance of impregnating her than the second? And she's probably at her, she's probably most fertile in the middle of her estrous cycle and towards the end because of that whole induced ovulation process. So the initial 2 days, 2 or even 3 days of mating are basically futile, and it's essentially to make sure that the biggest and the best male passes on his genetics to her, which isn't always exactly how it works, but it's one of the explanations behind that evolutionary tactic. It's why males have barbed penises and why it hurts her every time he mates with her, because that is what... I've been looking into try and find the information on what exactly, how the connection is made between that whole process and then the release of the eggs and how it interacts with the hormones. And I can't find all that much information on it. I'll keep looking. So it's actually the male towards the middle or the end that will have the best chance of actually becoming the father of her cubs. Up we go again. I would like to go that way. Nope. I love how he bites her tail. Hey, sit down. Sit down. Hey! Oh, she's going towards Tayla. Ah. Poor girl. There we go. A half-hearted roll onto her back. The lordosis reflex at work. And he's going to mark his territory. Oh, not even a foot scrape there. She's getting closer, mister. I think she thinks that there's a chance if she gets the 2 males together and they start to scrap over her, she can actually escape back to the buffalo kill. I think she has a cunning plan. A very cunning plan. I wonder if she's capable of that much forward planning. It'd be very interesting to know. I mean, they coordinate their hunts in the most amazing manner. I wonder if they're capable of thinking about a way to trick another lion to try and work their way back to whatever they want. Be interesting to know. Hyenas definitely would be. And I wouldn't be surprised if leopards would be.
We saw Tingana ditch shadow.
Karula, that's true actually. Liam just pointed out we saw Tingana ditch Karula in that way, accidentally leading her into the lions. We still don't know if that was actually the case, but it really seemed that way because he split off. Yeah, I'm going to reposition in the meantime. Let's jump across to Tayla, who is, as you know, not too far away, and see what her lonely Birmingham boy is up to.
I agree with Jamie. I think it is a fantastic plan of what this young female is trying to do. And it's working slowly because this Birmingham over here keeps staring in the distance, and it doesn't seem, it's actually more of a glare that he's giving to that other male. And they're not too far away now. I'm trying to think. They're probably about 80 meters away from each other. And he can now see them. And hopefully that female will lead this other Birmingham with a hole in his face to this big jackalberry that we have on the right. And possibly we're going to see some action this morning. So I think I'm going to stick around a little bit. Hang on, I'm just watching. That other female has sat up again on the right. Don't know if he was quite far away. However, you can sort of see them. She was laying flat. Now she sort of changed position a little bit there. Now come on, girl. You're a young, fit young lady. Up you get. Yeah, she's very cheeky. She's staring over at our pretty handsome Birmingham. When you're not far, if you get up and you do a little dash, that's going to be very exciting. I don't know if this other male is going to allow her to do a dash, because every time she moves, he is hot on her heels. Wondering what is actually going on inside her head. So it seems like she's mating with this other male now a bit more regularly. We saw it yesterday. We saw them mate twice. And she didn't seem quite keen. He was quite keen to mate every few minutes, and she was not up for it though. But it seems to be more regular. I think since I've been here, we've seen them mate, or heard them mate twice. Haven't really seen anything, but they make quite a bit of noise when they are mating, as I'm sure you heard just now. Now our other Birmingham has gone to sleep. Fast asleep in dreamland. Ah. Now, our beard wants to know, this young female that we've been watching hasn't really been having a go at the male after they've mated. Now, that's normally quite common because it's quite painful, unfortunately, for the female during copulation. And our beard is wondering if it's because of his sore face. No, I don't think so. I don't think she really cares too much. I think this is her first time that she's really ever been mating, so everything is very new for her. She's obviously seen it with the other females, but perhaps she's a little bit, she's very naive still. So I think when the males start to push her around a little bit, then she may become a little bit more aggressive. The reason why I like this Birmingham boy number 4 is, like I said yesterday, I've never seen a male lion that's so gentle around the cubs. I mean, he allowed them to jump on his back and bite his tail and pull his mane, and he didn't seem too bothered at all. And even with this female while he's mating, normally it can get quite aggressive, as you've all seen. And he seems to be quite a gentle gentleman, I suppose. He's very nice to her. Now, I think the tables may turn, though, when we get some of the other Birminghams who are a little bit more on the feisty side. And it'll be interesting to see what happens now. Now, they're coming over to the vehicle. You can see he wants to try and cut her off. Now, our sleeping Birmingham, we're not going to go to him, though. Oh, now he's lifted his head up. You see, a lot of growling, and as they're moving, that male is still marking his territory, making his presence known. Bit of growling. Come on, girl. Ooh. You are cheeky. He's not happy. This Birmingham is letting off lots of rumbles. Now we're going to stay on these two, everybody. I want to see. Can you hear the growling? She's getting upset with the Birmingham now because he keeps trying to block her off. We may have an argument here. What's going to happen? This is very interesting, everybody. Oh, she sat. Let's see what she's going to do. Oh, he's not happy. He's not happy with the situation at all. Now, it's natural for this big Birmingham that we're looking at now to be growling and be acting quite aggressively because he wants to be the one that mates with this female for the next few days. So there could be a bit of an argument. And she's really throwing a spanner in the works, I'm afraid. She's not being a very nice lady. But I think I agree exactly with Jamie. I think she's had enough of the boys. Like I said, she's young, she's very inexperienced. And if she can cause a big distraction, like a fight, she's going to run away. She's going to run straight back to the pride and seek shelter. Maybe she'll even run further than that and try and move away from him completely. I've seen it before. Females like to give the males a slip and have their own private time every now and then. As we've seen, the males are really only interested in eating and mating, when it comes to lions, that is. There's still quite a bit of growling going on. I don't think you can hear it, it's a bit far. Now, we definitely think that there's going to be a little bit of an argument over here. Now, Jason wants to know if one male can mate with a female straight after another without any fighting. I've never seen it before. I've never seen a placid sort of swap over like that. It's always been an argument, some less violent and aggressive than others. But I think already from the Birmingham that's laying close to this female, he's marking. He's growling. I don't know if you saw his stance that he had before. Everything about him seems to be very aggressive, and I don't think he's going to let this female sort of get away from him. And so I think he's going to stand his ground. Though our other Birmingham, let's have a quick look at our Birmingham number 2. You'll see he hasn't really moved much, and he hasn't shown any aggression either. He's now flat. It's like he's sort of ignoring him. But I think once they get a little bit closer, that the Birmingham that's mating with a female currently, I think he may make the first move. Well, you better be careful. I don't know who my money's on, though, in a fight. Now, they will argue, and then it depends who wants it more, I suppose. Will determine who's going to get the mating rights to this female. But they've settled down for a little bit, or she's still got her head up, she's still watching. You can see just through the round leaf teak there's another vehicle coming through, and that's what they're looking at now. Come on, girl, get up. Let's cause a bit of a dispute this morning. You've already caused some tension. Finish off what you've started. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever seen 2 males fighting before. It is definitely something. It's very loud, and they are very rough with each other. So I hope you're all prepared for that if it does happen. Here's a big yawn. Let's see. Yep. You're rolling over, not getting up. She's got a big belly, though, as you can see. Still lots of growling. I think it's a bit too far for all of you to hear. But she seems slightly agitated. You see her tail moving quite a bit, and I don't think it's swatting flies. They're not far now. They must only be about 60 meters away from each other. And now this other Birmingham that we were looking at earlier, the one that was sleeping, he's actually got the upper hand because he's on higher ground. Now, so straight away, if that Birmingham gets up from a distance, he's going to look a lot bigger to the others, to this other Birmingham that we're looking at now. And he may feel threatened because he's got an advantage of coming from a higher vantage point. I don't know if you can see. The other lionesses have actually just come down to have a drink now. It might be difficult. There's quite a few trees obstructing. The other girls are there. However, I'm quite keen with the cubs. I just want to hold our position over here, just because I think this is going to be an amazing interaction if we get it. And that other boy, Birmingham number 4, has got his head up. He's growling. He's very unhappy at the moment. So I definitely think he's going to possibly try and chase off this other male if this female comes any closer. But we're going to be patient. I mean, something like this could take 10 minutes. It could take 2 hours to unfold. Now, Angelique, thank you very much for this little information that you fed me. Angelique said that during the Birmingham takeover, they killed a female that wasn't compliant. Now, that's actually fairly common in takeovers where females are reluctant to sort of take notice of the boys. Unfortunately, they will be killed. I don't think they're going to injure her. I think what's going to happen is this Birmingham number 4 is possibly going to engage in a fight with this other male, or attempt to chase him off, and I think that female is going to duck. She keeps looking over her shoulder now towards the rest of the pride that's come down to drink at that little puddle, which we saw them at yesterday evening. And I think that's her next plan, is that once the attention is off her, she's going to race back to her comfort zone where she knows she has protection as well. Remember, those adult females also stand with each other and give the boys a bit of bat too if they give them too much trouble. So I think that's possibly what's going to happen. It's like she's sort of just mapping out in her head what her next move is. Now, I just hope that those other lionesses don't come towards here with the cubs. Because if there is a bit of an argument, those males are going to be very, or not very aware of their surroundings, and that's possibly also when something like a cub can get taken out in a fight accidentally, of course. See that glare? He is watching his brother. Just making sure. Up you get, girl. Now, I know a few of you have been asking if this female does get up and run away, won't he just find her again? And I know that David is asking exactly that. Now, that's definitely the case, but maybe she'll be able to put enough distance between her and she'll just keep on the move. I've seen it where lions have intentionally avoided males for 2 weeks, wherever they were, and actually crossed paths. So it was actually with the Southern Pride and the Charleston males when they came over and did their takeover. For the first month, the females wanted absolutely nothing to do with them. And the one evening, we watched the Charlestons pick up the scent of the female lionesses, and they were calling, hoping for a response. They weren't getting a response. The females were sitting quietly. And then, literally, they were probably about 40 meters away from each other. The females gave them a slip. They quickly snuck past them. Like, I'm not joking, I've never seen lions tiptoe until that day, and raced down into a drainage line, and then they proceeded to zigzag. I couldn't keep up with them. They were going through a drainage, and then they would double back, and I watched these males try and follow their scent, and they just couldn't work out what they were doing. And this is what happened for 2 weeks. They evaded the Charlestons. Eventually they caught up, but they had 2 weeks break from them. So that can happen. That can definitely happen. Now, let's have a quick look at Birmingham number 2, just because he's sat up quite nicely. Now, he's not actually looking at the other, at his brother, or the mate, or that youngest lioness. He was staring over in the distance at the rest of the pride. Now, they've all sort of sat down around the watering hole, so that's what he's watching. Now, I don't think there's any other females that are coming into estrus at this time. And that's why the Birmingham number 4 is not particularly worried about the rest of the pride. He's just worried about that young lioness. But it's going to be quite exciting to see these events unfold. And hopefully, it doesn't seem like there's too many vehicles that want to come here anymore. I think a lot of them have already come through. So hopefully we'll be able to sit here for the remainder of the show and see what happens. Just hear lots of growling and whining from the other pride in the distance, but I don't know, it's very far away for all of you to see. Like I said, I'm not going to move just because I think the action is all happening here, and we've had such lovely, wonderful sightings of the cubs over the last few days. I think we need to change it up a bit. You can see them there all drinking in a little puddle of water, or a little mud wallow. And they've now put their heads down. They've been resting now. I was just trying to time what the intervals are for about 8 minutes. So I think they're mating either every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes. We'll have a look and I'll be able to tell you. So I think this is the first proper day now. I think yesterday was sort of her getting used to that male and first time mating. And now I think they're going to be mating on having those regular intervals. Like I said, since I've been here, they've already mated twice. Having a good laugh. Good laugh, everybody. Our beard has just made a hysterical comment saying about how leopard mating is more spot on, how it's the females that have to do all the initiating. And I've never in my life seen a male that was ever keen to mate with the female. And I'm talking about leopards. It's quite funny. And then with lions, it's the complete opposite. The males are the very excited ones, and the females look unimpressed pretty much the entire time. It's amazing how it's so different with the two different cats. She's wondering if she's not going to get up and go back. No, come on, you've started something here. You've stirred. Ooh, you know what's happening. Look at the zoom in on those other lionesses. They are running back to the carcass now because I think the vultures, I saw a lot of vultures moving around, and I think those vultures that you saw earlier this morning with Jamie have come off the tree and gone straight down onto the carcass. Now you won't believe how quickly vultures will demolish an entire carcass. So it's best that they get back to their carcass and don't leave it unattended. I don't think they're too worried about that sly jackal that was hanging on the outskirts. But those vultures, there's so many of them around now. They will clean that up in 10 minutes. Yeah, they're on their way back now. Yes, go back and chase the vultures. I'm hoping that the hyenas are going to start coming in and hanging around soon. But I think with the presence now of two big Birminghams, they might be reluctant to come through just yet. But hopefully we'll be able to watch this carcass over the next few days. And maybe we see some nice interaction with the hyenas. Still waiting to get a decent sighting of a hyena. Just had one very quick one the other morning. She looks a little bit more awake again. Goodness, there's lots going around. Lots of vultures. The hornbills have settled in there, all very chatty this morning as well. Now we're going to be very patient, everybody. I know it's not very exciting at the moment. However, I know what's going to happen if I get up. If I move this vehicle and we go towards the cubs, we're going to miss all this action that could potentially happen between the mating pair and Birmingham number 2. So I'm quite happy to hold my ground. And surely this Birmingham now realizes with all the vulture activity that there must be something around. But he's not making any moves either. He's sort of, he's just holding his ground for the moment too. But he's not acting aggressive at all. He seems to be quite content. He didn't look too thin either. He definitely had eaten something. Now, we found his tracks on a Cheetah cut line and the junction of Buffalo's Hook cut line. So he's definitely come from the east and coming west. Eggsy actually spotted his tracks, and initially they didn't look very fresh, the way he'd been standing in the sand. And I think somebody had already driven over half of his tracks because we lost them, and then they came back again. And then we just saw him lying on the road. It was fantastic. Don't know if you can hear all those birds chatting away. Hornbills. So beautiful out here this morning though. Lovely and quiet. It's something so amazing. The silence is so quiet that sometimes it's deafening. And that's definitely something that I notice as soon as I get back to the cities is how terribly quiet, I mean how terribly noisy it is, with the sound of the traffic and the police sirens and people shouting. It's not very pleasant at all. I mean, you can see some more clouds coming in. They're actually a set of thicker clouds coming through, but I can see a little, every now and then there's a few gaps of blue sky. But there's now a breeze. There wasn't any wind this morning. So perhaps we've still got an opportunity for some bad weather to blow in. But no threatening rain clouds just yet. Eggsy, let's go back to this male quickly, just because Heather has asked a fantastic question this morning. Good morning, Heather. Heather wants to know, why do the males' coats appear to be a lot darker and smoother, almost hairless compared to the females? Now, Heather, it's got to do with the amount of testosterone that they're producing. So the males start off quite light, like the females, but as they get older, they start producing more and more testosterone. And testosterone is known to enhance the color of animals. So a good example is a big male giraffe, how they almost go black in color. So their skin is just slowly starting to darken now. And give it another 6 months and you'll see how lovely they are. Like, he looks a lot darker than his brother. And you can even see on the mane on his chest is starting to darken as well. I don't think these males are going to have particularly dark manes. Possibly just some darkening on the chest, which is quite common. But they're not going to have completely black manes. I'll be surprised if they are. Now, the hairlessness, it's like a horse. I don't know if you've ever seen a stallion, how their coats are just naturally smooth and more shiny than the females. And then once again, Heather, that's just got to do with the testosterone that they're producing. And fantastic good condition. It's like almost like they're having a lot of omega essential oils that are creating their coats to look like that. They're not really, but it's like that. I know when you give dogs and things and cats omega oils, their coats go lovely and slick. Remember, these boys are still fairly young. They're just coming into their prime now. I think they're only about 5.5 years. Watch them at the end of the year, beginning of next year. They're going to change completely. They're really going to start muscling up nicely, and it'll be so nice when their manes also go a darker tinge. No, he's going back to sleep. He's very placid. I'm quite impressed. I think any other Birmingham male could have charged in already. Like if we take who was that other male that we were with? I forget now. Maybe Birmingham boy number 3. I think he would have put up quite a bit of a fight, because remember about a week ago now. Sure, time flies. He was on a buffalo kill with Birmingham boy number 4. And with this young female lioness, and Birmingham number 3 wouldn't even let that young lioness feed on the carcass. Now, so I think if it was him that was sitting where this male that we're watching is sitting, there would have been a lot of drama already. I don't think he would have stood for being growled at in the distance. Remember, each lion has got their own personality, their own temperament. They all have got different traits from their various mothers. Now, I'm not sure if the Birminghams are actually blood brothers, meaning that they're all from the same mother. With coalitions, that's not always the case with males. They don't have to be a same mother, same father. They can just come from the same pride. Now, I'm actually not sure at all what the case is. I know with most of the coalitions that we've seen, you see in the then it would be half siblings. So maybe same father, different mother, or same mother, or maybe even not even directly related, but same pride, and that's okay. So while I sit and wait for this wonderful drama that we're hoping to unfold, let's go see how Jamie's morning's going.
Taylor and myself both had sightings that sort of collided with each other, I decided to leave the lions for now and go off in search of other things. I'm really hoping to find a leopard. I want to go and see if I can't find Karula. Perhaps these guys know where she is. I know Taylor was asking some impala this morning about whether or not they know where Karula or perhaps any leopard might be. But impala are the strong, silent type out here. Unless, oh, look how pregnant she looks. They're starting to show properly now. The females bulging outwards a little bit, and pretty much every single female in this herd will be pregnant, except for the youngest ones that would not have been ready to conceive just yet. Just ever so slightly bulging around the belly area. And to see the fresh green grass is such a pleasure. I can't believe it's the same place. It really is so amazing how quickly it's gone green. And of course now we can start to look forward to, well no, not now, that's an exaggeration. In the next 2 months, in 2 months' time, we can start to look forward to the birth of the new impala lambs. Which is always an exciting, exciting time. For us because they're adorable to watch as they wobble about, and for the predators because it is, especially for the leopards, a time of plenty. I got very excited. I thought I found a drag mark earlier, which of course would indicate a leopard being in the area, but unfortunately it turned out to be a snake track. I tried to follow it for a little bit, but it can be quite tricky to tell the difference between the two. But generally a drag mark tends to be slightly deeper than the slithering of a snake. And sometimes you don't necessarily get that perfect serpentine motion visible in the track that you imagine snakes to move through or move along, especially if it's something like a puff adder, because they move in a straight line, basically by stretching their body forward and then contracting and pulling the rest of their body after it. So a puff adder moving in a standard pace actually leaves a completely straight track. There you go, a drag mark, but a false alarm, unfortunately. I suppose it is a drag mark, it's the snake dragging its body behind it, but not quite what I was looking for. I've decided, since I don't think anybody's checked around this area, I'm going to go check Leadwood Road, the last place that we saw Karula. That was a long time ago, but she might have decided to return. At least I'm hoping that's the case. Perhaps it's best left to the imagination, or indeed how many leopards we drive past. I'd love to know the total of leopards that I've driven past in my lifetime in the bush. It must be close to 100. When they don't want to be seen, they don't want to be seen. Let's try and get a view of the Nyala. All the animals are hiding away this morning. There's so much water around that the animals are so incredibly dispersed. They don't have to gather around water holes because they can just drink from any puddle. Oh, Nyala, you're making my life difficult. Not intentionally, obviously. Oh, goodness. Here's one. She also, I mean, I don't know if now I'm just seeing pregnancy everywhere, but she also looks a bit pregnant to me. She looks very pregnant to me. And a little bit thin. I'm sure they're all very, very grateful that there's been some rain and that they've got a little bit more to eat. Hands down, one of the most beautiful antelope species. I believe that you got to see, which is something that you don't get to see here on Djuma, but that you got to see their largest cousins, the eland, which is the largest of the antelope species and related, believe it or not, to the Nyala and the kudu and even the little bushbuck. They all fall under the spiral-horned antelope tribe. Hard to believe, though, that there's that genetic relationship between them. And Anna Marie says, oh, bouncing baby antelope, November and December, and that she can't wait. Me neither. I can't wait. You always get this question, when is the best time to come to the bush? And it's such a difficult question to answer because that is one of my favorite sights. That fresh green summer feeling, which hopefully we're going to have this year. I'm really hoping, even though we did have early rain, I'm hoping it's going to stay rainy. That fresh green summer feeling, bouncing baby antelope everywhere. And then you've got winter on the other hand, where you can see nocturnal species all the time, and you can see further into the bush, and your predator viewing's better. A very difficult question to answer, when is the best time? Out here at least. There's certain areas where it's seasonal, and when there's lots of rain, you might as well not bother to go there. Well, not necessarily not bother to go there, but if you're looking for seriously good animal viewing, you might not want to bother. And two of my closest friends are from Northern Ireland, and they asked me when the best time for them to come and visit is, and one of them got heat stroke. My closest friends when I was at university, he got heat stroke on a day when I was still wearing a jumper. I was still wearing a jersey, and he managed to get heat stroke. So based on that, I decided to tell them that perhaps the best time to come and visit would be in winter, not in summer, because I wasn't entirely sure they were going to survive the heat in summer. I'm going to concentrate on searching for leopard tracks or any sign of the queen. Let's head back across and see how the drama of the morning is playing out with Tayla and her lions.
And nothing has materialized just yet. We are going to be patient, and we are going to sit out these sleeping cats for as long as we can. And hopefully they do something exciting. So what you did miss, though, just something that happened so quickly, is that female quickly groomed herself, and she obviously had an itch, and that male thought it would be a nice opportunity to try and mate. And she actually did give him a swipe across the face to say, nope, not yet. And then she went back to sleep again. So nothing else has happened, and you can see we've repositioned slightly just so we had a better view of them, just in case we get lucky and we get to catch them mating again. And we still have a very small view of our other male who's sitting off into the distance. You may be able to see him through all the round leaf teak and all of the other little goodies that are growing. There he is. Just through there. And then hopefully we'll have we've got a fairly good view if this female does get up and start walking towards him. We've got a good spot here. So I think this is much better positioning. Remember everybody, we are live this morning. Well, we're always live, so you're welcome to send me some questions or send Jamie some questions. You can either hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or you can even send us an email, questions@WildEarth.tv. Now, Jason would like to know, how close does that female need to get in order to spark a fight? Now, I don't think there's an exact amount of space that she needs to be. I think if she gets up and she goes about another 20 or 30 meters closer to that male, I think that Birmingham male number 2 is possibly going to stand up. And as soon as he stands up, I think that's going to feel like a threat to Birmingham number 2. And I mean, please swap them around. Birmingham number 2 stands up. I think Birmingham boy number 4 is going to feel quite threatened. So we'll have to see. Or did I swap them around? Now I've confused myself, everybody. But you can see that wound. Let's have a look at his wound. Quite wide, but even since yesterday, it's not as deep as what it was. It's definitely getting better. And we can't decide around all of us living at DRC what scar that's going to leave, whether it's going to leave a bit of an indentation on his face, It'll be quite interesting to see, because to me, I mean, that looks like it needs a few stitches. Obviously, we don't interfere out here, and this male is doing quite well. I think he seems to be quite happy. You can see he's a little bit oozing a little bit, but that's normal. But there's no more maggots anymore, and there's no flies hanging around it, so that's great. That's good to know. It's yeah, I think already from the photos that I took yesterday, it's improving as the day goes on. And obviously, as long as he keeps eating and keeps drinking, and he's going to be fine. If he goes a week or two without, or a week without eating, then I don't think that wound is going to continue to heal. I think that process will slow down quite a bit. But luckily they've got a buffalo that the lovely lionesses caught, and they're taking full advantage of. But they are fast asleep now. Now they've gone on for almost 20 minutes now without mating. So I don't think we're going to have a textbook mating process like we normally do, where you see how it progresses from 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes to 40 minutes, etc. I think it's going to be on and off because it is this female's first time. So she's got a lot to learn as well. And possibly the first time she's coming to Eatris, maybe she won't even take to any of the males. And maybe it will take her 2 or 3 times of mating with the boys in order to fall pregnant. But we can only hope that she does take the first time, because how exciting will that be? There'll be such a nice little gap between all the little cubs. So just when the others get big and they're not so cute anymore, then we'll have hopefully some new little fluff balls around. Now I'm also itching to go and have a look and see what the rest of the pride is doing, but I also don't want to leave here in the same breath, just because I know how dramatic this could be if something does unfold here. But at the moment it doesn't look like anything's happening just yet. They both seem exhausted. Eggsy and I were having a good chuckle earlier this morning. I must tell you about what we talk about behind the scenes, because sometimes it's quite funny. And we were saying that we hope she doesn't, this young lioness doesn't have cubs too soon, because we feel as though she's going to grow up then. And Patricia would like to know if this is the same lioness that chased Tingana up a tree as well as chased the giraffe. Now, Patricia, that's correct. And this is why Eggsy and I were talking about it, is we said that she's going to grow up and she's going to have adult responsibilities, and she's not going to be able to do all those reckless things like chasing giraffe and chasing leopards up trees. So that was our little joke that we had this morning. So I can hear that Jamie's searching hard, far and wide for a leopard this morning. Hopefully she gets lucky. I attempted my luck this morning with of course no leopard, but I did find a big male lion, which was not too bad. I can hear contact calling in the very far distance from the other females. Very quiet now, everybody. Just a little crested spurfowl that was calling there. Crested francolin, sorry. No, it's very, very quiet. You could almost hear a pin drop. It's quite nice to just sometimes sit and enjoy the peace and quiet. It's really beautiful. It feels like it's getting colder again. When I first woke up, it was warm this morning, and then it got freezing as we were driving along, and then I thought it warmed up again, but now I'm a bit colder, which is good for us. Hopefully the lions and even the leopards will be a little bit more active in this cooler weather. These two seem to be enjoying a good snooze. Now, if you look at these two lying here, the way they are, they're laying in a bit of a depression, so they don't look very big now. And David wants to know, or his comment first, because David said that the males don't look too much bigger than the females. Now, and he's wondering, is this true? These Birminghams, like I said, they've still got a little bit of growing to do, but however, they are much larger than the females. Hopefully, when they stand up again, if they stand on level ground, David, you'll be able to see that he is much taller than her, and he's also a lot more broader at the shoulders than what she is. Now, typically, a male lion can get to anywhere between 200 and 230 kilograms. That's quite big. Now, I believe the largest recorded male lion that's ever been found was in the Kruger National Park. And I can't remember what he died from, but he was massive, and they weighed him, and he weighed 250 kilograms. That is enormous. Now, that's exceptionally big. And a female will typically get anywhere between 150 and 180 kilograms would be quite a big female too. Now, this lioness, she's quite a bit smaller than the other ladies. So I reckon she's probably at about 120 kilos at the moment. And that big Birmingham, I reckon they're not massive. I don't think the Birminghams are particularly huge. I'm trying to guess. I think they're maybe just shy, or maybe around 200 kilograms. I don't think too much more than that. But they could still put on quite a bit of weight and fill out a little bit more. They can still get a bit more robust. And hopefully they will. Hopefully they will. I think the biggest change of male lions is now when they're between 5 and 6 years old. I often see quite a dramatic change. So keep an eye out over the next few months. Keep taking screen captures, and so that you can note the difference. And even if you've got some screen captures from when these Birminghams first took over, it'll be quite interesting to see how different they're looking compared to back when they first came through. So even if you can hashtag Safari Live on some of your old screen captures of the Birminghams, that'll be really great to have a look at a little bit later. I think we're still going to hang around, everybody. I'm reluctant to move away from these lions because I know what happens if you aren't patient. You miss out. So let's bear and grit these painfully sleeping lions. But while I wait, let's go to Jamie and see if she's managed to find anything else on that leopard.
No sign of the leopard, but we have got this incredible view of a magnificent bull elephant. There's just something so very special about us spending time with these giants, particularly the big bulls, because they've got such a sense of self-assurance about them. This gentleman's not particularly huge. He's still quite young. If I had to guess, I'd put him in his 20s. But he still has that sense of self-assurance. And we just have this incredible view of his trunk as he reaches down. He's pushed over a tree, and he is wrapping his trunk around the roots, attempting to pull it back up. He's massive. Hello, boy. And he's such a polite elephant as well. You can always tell. We're much, much closer to him than we were with that elephant on Cheetah Plains, for example, who immediately started eyeballing us in a strange way. And this beautiful boy didn't even really look twice at us as we pulled up. Oh, yummy. That's nice. That's a good breakfast. Let's see if he's going to actually crunch straight through that root, or if he's going to strip it of its bark. See how he's using his trunk to reposition it. Oh, he's chewing the whole thing. And we're not quite at the point just yet where the grass is long enough for the elephants to eat it. So their diet is still almost entirely tree-based. Although at least there's a bit more moisture in the trees, so they don't have to worry too much about uprooting them. I've just driven along Battalier Road, and I probably had to drive round about 5 different trees that the elephants had pushed over. They're doing a magnificent job in this drought of actually really creating open spaces in the vegetation. It's going to be very interesting to see how they change the shape of the landscape. They're definitely in the process of doing that. I'm hoping he might also come and give us a mud wallow, although I don't think it's warm enough for him just yet. There's some really nice puddles of mud that the elephants absolutely love. But it's still cool this morning, so I don't think so. There's such a profound sense of peace in sitting with a sighting like this. Got quite an impressive set of tusks. As I said, he's still young, so those are still going to grow. They're nice and evenly shaped. If I had to guess by the pointiness of the one on the left, I think I'd probably say that he is right-tusked rather than left-tusked, but I'd have to see the other tusk to be 100% sure. But just like humans, they have right and left hands. Oh, look at those eyelashes. You can see there's a little glob of wax in the corner of his eye, and that's just to protect the eye itself, especially on dusty days. Oh, the whole foot's getting involved. There we go, on to the next piece. They make it look so easy, stripping away bits of bark and pulling up branches and roots. In reality, it would be absolutely impossible for us to achieve, yet they make it look effortless. A perfect observation from Fran, who's looking at the elephant's forehead and saying, wow, you can actually see how much more rounded the forehead is on this bull than the elephants you were looking at with Tayla. And absolutely. So for our newer viewers, it's one of the best ways to tell the difference between a male and a female elephant is when they're fully grown. You want to be careful when they're young because the young bulls aren't quite so well developed. But when they're fully grown, the males have a rounded profile. So their forehead has a gentle outward bulge, whereas that of the females is much more angular. Fran is absolutely right. On mature bulls like this one, you can see, look how round that is. It's almost a smooth, perfect curve from the top of his trunk to the top of his head. And, of course, the slightly thicker tusks is usually a good indication. Oh, and he's got a nick in his ear as well. Little hole in his right ear. That will stay with him for life. Although what he might do is actually tear that open. Just in the position that it's in, it could hook something, and he could end up with a slightly larger hole. Just bear with me one moment. Herbie's trying to contact me. Standing by. I'm quite far. I'm on Chelepan. Okay, copy. Thanks very much. Hopefully it'll stick around. Herbert just calling me to tell me... Sorry, I'll explain to you in a moment. No problem. I'm with my daughter-in-law here, Chelepan Road. So Herbert is just calling me to tell me that there is a brand new baby in Nyala next to Galago Pan. So he wanted to know how far away I was in case I wanted to come and have a look at it. Which of course I do, but I'm actually quite far away. And the chances of us getting there and it still being there are relatively slim. But there you go. For all of our viewers looking forward to bouncing baby antelope, we're already starting to see them. And of course Nyala don't have a strict breeding season. They breed all year round. But there is a peak at this time of year. So there we go. Back to our lovely Ellie bull. Just wondering whether he'd allow us any closer. Although we still have an awesome view. And just by the way, we will try and find that Nyala, that brand new baby in Nyala, on our way home. If we don't manage, then there will definitely be the prospect for the afternoon sunset safari, since Nyala do hang about the same area. Hey, mister. Not concerned. Just seriously enjoying breakfast. I'm not sure if you can hear that bird that's whistling. I'm trying to toss up whether I should tell you what it is or if I should ask you as a quiz to what it might be, but I think a quiz might be a little bit too easy. It's a magpie shrike. It's a long-tailed shrike. I'll just reposition so you can see them. Making such a racket. Or a long-tailed shrike. Oh, look at that call and response. How cool is that? One on the right starting, the one on the left finishing. What if it's a male and a female? Could well be. Oh, reversed the order. How cool is that? So obviously not set in their ways. They're like members of an orchestra. Each one knows which part to play. That one's got the boring part. Doo-doo. Doo-doo. Oh. Been abandoned. Perhaps the one felt a little bit left out of this whole chorus. Nope, I'm done. No more singing. Oh, there we go. Much more interesting part. Oh, sorry. You've lost your duet, buddy. Cool. Little insight into the magpie shrikes. Just going to go forward a little bit now. See if we can get another view of our Ellie. Right. I'm going to wait for my chance to sneak past this elephant. Let's head back across to Tayla and find out what her Birmingham boys are up to this time.
They are sleeping. Still sleeping. Not much has unfortunately happened. I think what I'm really getting keen to do now is to go and have a look and see what those other lions are doing. Just because I don't know what's going to happen, everybody. I wish that I could tell the future. But this female hasn't shown any interest whatsoever in this male. And he is a very polite lion. He tries to coax her very gently in sort of saying, right, I'm ready to mate again. And then she declines. It's happened twice now. And he sort of says, okay, that's okay, I'll go back to sleep. So that's why I'm thinking that they're not going to mate again until she says yes. Just because he's a bizarre lion. I don't think I've ever come across a lion like this male that we're looking at. He's very gentle. Which is refreshing. Yes, I think we're going to go and investigate and see what the other lions are up to. They're not too far away, so if we hear any commotion, we can come racing back down. But I think that's what we're going to do. Let's quickly go and have a look. Let's go see. We did see quite a bit of vulture activity earlier. So possibly, the vultures managed to get a few scraps. Like I said, though, I'm going to be listening very carefully in the next few moments, just to see if perhaps anything else develops over here, but no one has even lifted their head just yet. Maybe a little bit bumpy for us here. Okay, let's also pick up the pace. Let's quickly go and have a look. Now those other lionesses, they did come through and have a drink of water. So I hope they are not sleeping too. Just looking over my shoulder, everybody, just making sure that those lions don't get up as we're driving away, but I doubt it. Okay, let's go through here, find a little gap, and find a gap. We just need to get onto the fire break. Through this little gap here, almost there. Safari Cheesecake, good morning to you. I love your name. That's hysterical. It's fantastic. Now, Safari Cheesecake wants to know, do male and female lions ever groom each other, or allo groom each other? Yes, I've seen it. It does happen. It's not very common, though. And that's what that other male has actually been trying to do. He's actually been trying to reach over and nudge her and give her a lick and hopefully try and coax her into liking him a little bit more, but it seems to be failing. Ah, we've got a lion at the kill. Oh, never mind, she's moving away now. So I said that. Where are you going? What's wrong? They're looking at all the vultures. Lionesses, you can't let a little vulture bother you. They're all sitting quite low. Oh. No, not coming in, not braving it. Oh, I thought we were going to get one come right over. You can see the lionesses just looking through the trees. Ladies, are you scared of these big birds? I doubt it. They all look very full again, so I think you saw them all munching earlier with Jamie. I think they're possibly going to go and rest, but they now also seem to be quite reluctant to move away from this carcass because they know that the vultures have been waiting here for an entire day now, and they're getting a bit sick of just waiting. They're definitely building up an appetite. So we'll try and sit patiently as well, and possibly one of these lions are going to be, these vultures are going to be brave and are going to come on in. Those ones don't seem to be paying too much attention, a few of them looking over. All white-backed vultures that we can see there. And here are a few contact calls again from the lionesses, but they're moving further away from this carcass. Now, I know there seems to be a trend. These lovely ladies seem to also move away from their carcass quite early when there's still quite a bit of meat on it. There is definitely some flesh. There's not a lot left. Hopefully they'll hang around until this afternoon. You can see them just disappearing into the thicket. There's one of the cubs. They're moving far away now. I think if we sit quietly, I might want to reposition though. We may get the vultures coming through. You can hear that. I don't know if you heard that. Calling all the cubs. I'm just looking back over my shoulder, but I can't see any development. I can't hear anything from behind us. Seems to be very quiet. Just because there's one vulture up here that's staring straight down at the lions and the carcass. And now all we need is one. Just need one vulture to make the first move, and then the others will come through. Are you going to be the brave one? Now the lions have moved out of sight now. I can't see them anymore. So they're probably a good 50, 60 meters away from this carcass, and that's enough time for these vultures to come through, swoop, peck at it for a few seconds, grab a few chunks of meat, and to fly up before the lions would reach him. And I don't know, these females seem to be losing interest in this carcass, so possibly they are moving off. Yeah, they're still moving away from the carcass. Maybe they're going to look for a better shelter. Though there's no sun. I don't think the sun is going to completely eliminate these clouds. I'll be surprised if it does. Come on, vultures, come on. I feel like we need to do like a little cheer song to encourage the vultures this morning. Lots of them here. They spread out all over. They're looking. They're going, where's everyone gone? Where are those lions gone? Now, looking at these vultures, we're looking at the whiteback vultures. They're massive creatures. Not quite as big as a lappet face, but in this area, they're about this. Well, I suppose them and the white-headed vulture of similar size. Now, David from Napa wants to know how much do these vultures weigh. Now, I'm just going to give you a rough estimate, but I reckon they're anywhere between about 3.5 and 5 kilograms, somewhere around there. They're relatively large. And I know that the lappet-faced vulture can weigh up to about 8 kilograms, which is absolutely massive. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like any of these vultures are braving it and coming down to swarm the carcass and feed on our lovely buffalo. That's in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. But possibly as these lions keep moving further and further away during the morning, they may come down. Now, we haven't had any more action or heard anything else from our love couple. And it's almost that time where I'm going to have to say goodbye to all of you. So I hope you've enjoyed this morning, and I hope you carry on watching for this evening. And Eggsy and I will see you a little bit later for the Sunset Safari.